We're back with part 3 of our SCX10 Base Camp build series. And in part 2, we added heavier brass items. We lowered the CG and we increased our lean and our climb angle. And at this point, we have quite a few options we could do. Like more power with a brushless motor and speed controller. Or we could upgrade to a more powerful steering servo. Or we could just further lower the center of gravity with more brass parts to the axles, heavier wheels, steel links. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but I'm thinking since we only have the stock wheels on here and it's a really easy way to lower the center of gravity, maybe some heavier proper beadlock wheels with different tires would be the way to go. Now, if money wasn't an object, we'd probably go with something really fancy like these Vanquish wheels that we put on our VRD Carbon. These wheels are about 70 bucks though, and you need to buy 2 packages. We upgraded the ring inside to brass for more weight. Those were $36 and you need 2. And then we finished them off with wider brass hubs and these were $24. And again, you need 2 packages. So overall, this is a super expensive way to go. The finished product is excellent, but I'm thinking we could probably get some wheels that'll serve us just as good for a fraction of the price. So for a great way to weigh down all the corners of the truck, we've picked up these Triel wheels. You get a packet of 4. They're 1.9s. They're made out of aluminum and they have an iron ring on them. These ones have a vintage kind of look to them in bronze color, and we got all 4 tires on sale for only 50 bucks. Now it's arguable that these wheels aren't going to be as high end. They're not going to have the same quality as the Vanquish, but they weigh about 127 grams each. They're pretty dang heavy, and I think this vintage look is going to look pretty nice. And to top them off, we've picked up these extended hubs from Treal. They are only aluminum, so there's no extra weight, but they are going to make it wider. They're plus 18 millimeters. There's a lot of different widths available, but they're sadly out of stock. These will be pretty wide, and it'll be interesting to see how they look on the truck. And then lastly, we're going to experiment with these sticky weights from ProTech. These are flexible sticky weights that you can actually apply going all the way around the ring here, and it'll just give you a lot more weight. These weights are pretty inexpensive, and it's a good cheap way to just boost that weight. Stock hubs, 22 grams, and the 18 mils, 49. All right. So the width of the weights is almost perfect with this center ring, and we were able to get 1 full weight strip and then half of the second, which we can reuse on the other wheel. So it should only take us 3 packages of weights to do all 4 wheels. So here's a wheel without weights. We do have the extended hubs in there. 135 grams, okay. And with the weight, 218. So the wheels are done, we just need to add the tires. Now what's interesting though, when you compare the tires, the wheels I mean, is that these Vanquish wheels, the brass ring and then the brass hub on the back cost 260 bucks for all of that, which comes out to about $65 per wheel. Whereas on these Treal wheels, the weights and then the extended hubs on the back come out to about $20.25. So they're a third of the price. And it'll be interesting to see which one weighs more. But before we do that, let's put the tires on. Now for the tires, we picked up these Upgrade RC Rockclaws, I believe. They're 1.9s, they're 4.75, and they're made in a soft or a super soft compound. And we picked up the super soft, and they cost about $33 or so for the pair. They're an all-terrain tread. They look pretty nice. They feel very malleable. Look, it's cool little sidewall on there. It looks pretty aggressive. Now, one thing is that the foam insert, since we've added the weights on the ring, is it's going to push on the inside of the foam here. And what we can do is we can actually trim out the foam with a hobby knife or some scissors, which I think we're going to do. Or you can just smush it on there and it will compress the foam a little bit, making it just a little bit more firm. And usually it's better to have a more firmer insert on the back wheels. Now, Upgrade actually sells these 2-stage foams that they're recommending for these Rockclaw tires. We're not going to use these, but if you were, you could also, again, just trim the inside if you want to add these weights going around the ring, because that is just a little too tight. So we've gone ahead and trimmed the inside of 2 of the inserts so there'll be a little bit less compression on them mounted up on the wheel, and we'll use these in the front so they're just going to be a little bit softer, and we'll keep the more compressed inserts in the back. The difference between the two, trimmed and not trimmed, is going to be minimal. We'll just have to remember once they're mounted up on the tires which ones go on the front, but hopefully we'll be able to tell by just giving them a squeeze. All right, we're all mounted up, and I think they look pretty dang gorgeous, man. I really like that bronze color, and overall they're really easy to mount, super simple, not as many screws as I'm used to on some of the fancier wheels, and yeah, no problems. On the front inserts, you can feel slightly that it's just a little bit softer. It's not a big difference in the firmness, but the rears do have just a little bit more resistance to them, especially the more you press. So before I forget, let's weigh these. We have tires on each of them. We're not taking into account the tire weight, but it can't be that much of a difference. These are the Megalithics from J Concepts with stock foam inserts. So let's just get a rough idea. 292, that is pretty heavy. And then the Vanquish are 220. That's over 70 grams, over 2 ounces of weight. That is a lot of weight being added to each corner. How much they weigh in total. And if you're wondering, the stock tires and wheels weigh 124, so we're adding 200 grams per corner with the new ones for a total weight of 494. So with the stock tires, they say they're 4.7s, but when you put these Rockclaws up to them, they are just a little bit taller, 4.75, so that makes sense. They look like they're slightly wider too, but not by a whole lot. Upgrade also offers these razor wires, and these are 5 inches tall, 1.9s, and you can see they get quite a bit more height out of them. This tread pattern works really well. I think they're just too dang big though for this truck, and there will be a lot of rubbing and clearance issues. So hopefully these Rockclaws do just a little bit better in the clearance department, and then having the wider hubs, having them more offset should help us out just a little bit too. And for reference, here's what an 18mm offset looks like. Those puppies are sticking out. Holy smokes, that's the stock offset. Yeah, that is gonna add a lot of stability, lean angle, and overall, I think it just looks awesome. All right, 52% in the front, 49.51 left and right. Our overall weight has increased a lot. So let's test our angles. And previously we had a lean angle of 40.5, which is not that much. 49.5, that would be 9 degrees improvement. Okay. 45.3. Almost 5 degrees more than before. And it is holding. So our previous climb angle was 54 degrees, 56.5. Let's give it a shot. $55.5. Now, if we really wanted to improve our climb angle, we should have put weights in the front wheels only and left the backs out. That would have really offset our front weight bias. 44.5. Nope, it's just not gonna do it. Man, 54. So she does not want to climb this. It holds that angle, but when I start to give it a little bit of gas, she breaks off. And honestly, that's okay. Our goal was not to increase our climb angle. It was to lower the center of gravity. And by adding all that weight down low, I think we've done that. The truck is certainly more stable. We're getting more flex out of it right now, but the lean angle when we tested it increased quite a bit. So the heavier wheels definitely helped out. And we were able to do it on the cheap while keeping it looking good. So out on the rocks, the truck is a lot more stable, especially as it's flexing over, it's getting sideways. It really feels a whole lot more grounded and planted on the surface. The larger diameter tires do cause a little bit more rubbing though, and that front bumper is a source of a lot of hang-ups, and the front tires just kind of hitting into it a bit, which isn't too much of a problem. There's tons of aftermarket bumpers. If we wanted to change that, we could just take it out completely, or we could just continue to trim off the corners of it a little bit. Overall, adding the heavier wheels and then the super grippy tires are excellent on the rocks. The truck feels way more stable. It looks awesome, and we did it all on the cheap. So guys, go check out everything that we talked about in today's video with our links down below. And if you want more RC videos, check these out.